Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto. Show me the crypto.
In a world on the brink of disruption, two men will bring you clarity by interviewing some of the most intelligent and influential names in the blockchain world. Welcome to Show Me the Crypto with your hosts, Wade Patterson and Ulf Lonergan.
Well, hi there, and welcome to Show Me the Crypto. My name is Wade Patterson.
And I'm Ulf Lonergan.
We're a couple of friends from Canada who love learning about cryptocurrencies and blockchain technology, and we're happy you're along for the ride. Whether you're a crypto virgin or you know your way around the block, we hope our interviews with some of the most intelligent and influential people in the blockchain space help deliver you with value. And on this episode, we're joined by Sara Baumann, founder and artist behind Women and Weapons. Sara has been obsessed with art since the moment she was able to hold a marker. From photography to painting to ceramics, Sara is a multidisciplinary artist who jumped headfirst into the NFT space earlier this year. Women and Weapons is a collection of 10,000 diverse, beautiful, and badass women, and 5% of all proceeds from the collection go to the Malala Fund Charity so that girls and women worldwide can gain access to education that will empower them to lead. Sara, welcome to Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you guys so much. I am so happy to be here. So excited to be sitting down with you guys virtually and getting to chit chat.
100%. We're stoked for this conversation. And I guess I want to start off, before we get into everything NFT, going back to your world prior to that. So obviously you were always interested in art, but my understanding was that you had a full-time job, but was the goal always to be able to do art full-time somehow?
Yes. I've been obsessed with art for as long as I can remember. I remember at one point during my bachelor's degree, which I got my bachelor's in health studies, I told my mom I wanted to go into art, and she was like, no, absolutely not. You're going into healthcare, lawyer, or engineering. Those are your three options, which my mom said it in her accent, which makes it 10 times cuter. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess this is it. So I ended up going and getting my master's degree in occupational therapy. And so I've been working full time as an occupational therapist for the last 5 years. But I've been selling my artwork for about 10 years now, just kind of as my side hustle, something that kind of gives me an opportunity to decompress whenever I get home at the end of the day. So I've been kind of keeping a toe in it as much as I possibly could. And then boom, Women and Weapons happened. And I've now gone PRN at the hospital. So I only work a couple days a month now.
That's so awesome. And so previously you mentioned you were selling some of your art. What did that look like? Was that like local markets, or where were you mainly distributing that?
Yeah, so I was in a few like small handmade shops that were local to this area. There were a couple outside of Austin. And then I also just primarily sold like through my Etsy shop and through like local markets and like shows and things like that. I will say though, it was really hard kind of working everything in because I was working full time. So like getting to these markets and so on, being in the hospital, people never stop being sick. So I had to work weekends pretty frequently. So I missed out on a lot of markets and things like that, which if anybody is a handmade artist or anything of that sort, you know how important those are for building your base. So it was hustling for a long time to even try and get my stuff noticed, to even sell anything, month to month. It's a super cutthroat game trying to sell your artwork. And I was really always hoping that I could eventually get to a point where I could sell enough to go full time. But that was just always a struggle that I had until NFTs came along.
And we'll definitely get to the NFTs, but just sticking to your sort of skill set in the past, Wade mentioned in the bio, you're multidisciplinary artist. Can you tell us a little bit about the different types of art you've created, and, are there any particular favorite mediums or anything like that?
Absolutely. So I really fell in love with ceramics whenever I was in high school, but unfortunately I don't own a kiln, so I haven't done ceramics in a good while. But I really, really love photography. I love painting. I love drawing. Actually, here are a few of my paintings behind me. I don't know how well y'all are able to see
You can
those.
see them pretty good. Yeah, no,
They're awesome. They're amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Those guys are acrylic. And then I've recently found gouache paints, which are kind of like if watercolors and acrylics had a baby, basically. And that's what I created my Genesis collection with. So I've dabbled in a vast majority of mediums, even sculpture, but I think I ended up falling really heavily in love with painting and photography primarily.
Okay, so let's jump into the NFT world. So when were you first introduced to NFTs as a concept? What were your thoughts when you first heard of it? And did you jump in right away, or did it take some warming up?
Well, it definitely took some warming up. My husband and I, we've been in crypto since 2018. My husband found NFTs in January of this year. I think he was just kind of getting, his feet in the water a little bit, but wasn't like super, deep in the space. And come March, he was starting to kind of introduce me to it. It's very different from the healthcare world, like, NFTs and everything. So it took me a good while to really wrap my head around understanding it and how it works. Cause it's just, if y'all can go back to the first time you heard about NFTs, it's like, I'm sure it blew your mind, and it kind of took a little while to marinate on all the information. So I'd say it took me like a solid month before I even started to be like, okay, let's try it. Let's see how it goes. But I think like first introduction, I was confused. Second introduction, I got it a little bit better. By the third introduction, I was like, okay, I think I'm pretty comfortable with this. Let's go.
Love it. Love it. And so for anyone who's maybe an aspiring artist that's listening, like, what was that learning curve like? Because, were you somebody, you mentioned that you guys have been in crypto since 2018, which, by the way, I have nothing but respect for, because you lived through it, the whole bear market, and you're still here. So that's awesome. But in terms of, figuring out the actual technology side of like, okay, I have this art, now how do I actually go and mint something? What was that learning curve like?
It was a pretty significant learning curve. I'm not going to lie. Especially again, like my brain is very much like physical art, digital art, and then hospital life. So thankfully my husband's a big techie guy, and he was able to kind of walk me through those steps. But I definitely want to say that it takes a lot of trial and error. You do it, you mess up, you realize you mess up, you maybe spend a little bit of money on those mess ups. And then you try again. And once you get down to your second, third trial, you kind of have it down pat. But, right now it's still very new territory. And I think it is very, kind of not super user friendly. But I'm hoping that going forward in the future, as we have some of these new platforms coming up, I think we're going to start seeing a lot more like user friendly interface. And this is going to be a lot easier to do for a lot more people. So why women and weapons? What's the story there? Okay, so I promise I am not a scared human at all. I've actually, primarily been, painting pieces like, for example, florals or portraits or what have you. And I decided I wanted to create a collection that caused some more pause for thought. So I thought about the marriage between the way that we viewed the mid-century housewife, during the World War II era, as kind of being the, stay-at-home woman that stayed in the kitchen, but also kind of comparing that to the way that we would view weapons and how we held them in such a high regard as such a powerful strengthening type of item. And I thought it would be interesting to combine the two with the view of kind of the symbolic nature of the weapon to the woman, in that women have various weapons that we carry on a daily basis, whether it be our ideas, our creativity, our empathy, our capability to be a stay-at-home mom, because that is a really hard job. I wanted it to create a little bit of a conversation on kind of how we view women, how we view women's capabilities, and so on. I thought it was a really intriguing didactic nature to the two items, I suppose.
That's such a cool concept. And I love that kind of juxtaposition of putting those two things together. In terms of the collection of 10,000, what goes into that? Because we see a lot of different, like, I guess you call them generative NFT series or projects. So for you as an artist, what does that involve? I mean, how many different elements are you creating? And then is that where your husband jumps in and then takes the algorithm type thing and helps out? Or what's that process to actually produce a series of 10,000 images?
So I don't know if you guys know, I started out with a 10-piece Genesis collection that was hand painted with gouache. Thankfully, prior to Gary Vaynerchuk purchasing some of those, I had already started on our generative collection. And it's a lot. I mean, thankfully, I've had a little bit of experience with Adobe Illustrator and Photoshop. I don't know if you guys have any experience with either of those. A little bit.
Yeah,
so you know that you design things in layers, right? Well, doing a generative collection is fairly similar. You have to really design things in layers. So Women and Weapons ultimately came out to 6 different layers, over 200 traits. So I was designing the background first, followed by the body, and then the hair, and then the clothing, and then the weapon. And basically what we did is we saved all of those individual pieces just standalone completely as a PNG with a transparent background. And we actually hired some developers who took those pieces. We gave each item a rarity percentage. And I told the developers, this is how I want these pieces layered so that the girls are going to come out, the way that I intended for them to. And so actually our developers were the ones who took all those files and went ahead and used their algorithm to layer them to create the 10,000 pieces. So thank God for devs, because I think we definitely could have done it, but I think it would have been very much a trial and error process. And we really wanted to kind of capture that momentum that we had, after Gary V's purchase and everything.
If you were to go back and sort of do it again, would you do it the same way? Like, for advice for people who are maybe approaching their first generative NFT project, is going out and seeking a contract developer to sort of help with that side of it probably the easy way to go? Or is there anything you've learned since that, you might go back and change it?
I personally would definitely stick with the devs. And the reason I say that is because they did it so flawlessly, which, by the way, our devs were DeFi Network. They were incredible. But they did it so flawlessly, and they also executed our mint and did that flawlessly as well. And I mean, things can get really hairy when you do them on your own. And whenever it comes to playing with people's money and people's time, I don't want to mess up. I really want to be respectful of that for people. So going forward, I would most certainly use our devs again. They did an absolutely incredible job, and things, they knocked out really beautifully. And I think all of the people who purchased, they were pretty happy with the process as well. So in order to save people their time and their money as well, I would 100% do it again this way.
So you mentioned there Gary V, which is, I mean, that's such a cool thing to be like, I'm an artist and my first buyer was Gary Vaynerchuk. Like, that's such an amazing thing. But do you mind just telling, maybe for our audience members who are either listening or watching this episode who aren't familiar with the story, I mean, what was that experience? How did Gary Vaynerchuk become your first buyer?
Well, it was definitely a Hail Mary moment. So I don't know if y'all are familiar. Sometimes on Saturdays, he posts that he's looking for new artists in the space and that he wants to collect their unsold pieces. So it also happened to be a day that I was working in the hospital, and I saw that post, and I commented with my stuff, and I said, I'd love for you to be my first collector. And next thing, fast forward, I'm in a patient's room and I have my Apple Watch on, and I feel my Apple Watch just vibrating and vibrating and vibrating and vibrating. And I'm just like, okay, I really don't mean to rush our session right now. By the way, I'm an occupational therapist. I don't mean to rush our session right now, but something's happening and I gotta run. So I ended running back downstairs to our office, and I'm trying to flip through my watch. And I'm trying to flip through my phone and figure out what has happened, but I had so many notifications and a bunch of texts from my husband too. So I just called him and I was like, Jake, what's happening right now? And he's going to hate that I'm saying this, but he was on the other line crying, and he was like, Sara, oh my gosh. He said, Gary just bought 3 of your pieces and tweeted about it, and the rest of them sold out in 45 seconds.
Wow.
It was bonkers. And I think I had like 5 others of my coworkers that were in the office at the time that I was getting all that news. And I'm pretty sure that I like fell out of my chair onto the floor, I want to say. And I'm pretty sure they helped me up from there. But it was absolutely incredible. Definitely a holy moly moment. But also kind of a light bulb moment that I was like, okay, this just happened and this is absolutely incredible. And I'm going to capture this momentum and I'm going to put this generative collection that I've been working on into hyperdrive and let's go. Like, let's just try and knock this out of the park if we can. And so from then on, I was working, 9-hour days plus and coming home and drawing for like 3-4 hours after that. So I was up for like 16 hours a day for about a month after that happened, trying to pump out our generative collection.
What was that like? Just, having the Gary V moment, everything happen, and then sort of what's transpired from there. Still, I guess, riding those coattails of just excitement and support from Gary V.
It's been, just absolutely incredible, like an absolute dream. Sometimes I still don't believe it's all real. I don't know if y'all saw, I actually met him while we were at Art Basel.
Cool. I did see that. Yeah, that's awesome.
It's so genuine, so kind. You could almost immediately see it in his eyes, like his good soul. So it was incredible to be able to tell him in person, thank you for, all of the assistance and the kindness and everything that he had provided. But, thanks to his assistance and exposure, we've been exposed to a lot of other incredible people in the space. I don't know if y'all saw, but Steve Aoki, he's purchased some Women and Weapons, as well as Randy Zuckerberg and many other incredible people. We got to meet Steve the other day as well. He's super, super fantastic. So it's just, things are picking up, momentum is increasing, and we're really, we want to do as much as we possibly can with Women and Weapons. And as you know, we have our patron wallet, which we're also trying to purchase art pieces from up and coming artists and kind of pay it forward and provide them with a platform to help them get on their feet and also be really successful in the space. So, as much as we're going up, we're trying to bring everybody else up with us.
And so this all led to you now focusing much more on your artwork. I think you mentioned you're not full-time, but you've scaled back your hours significantly. Was that scary? Was that exciting to now be like, I'm making this move here. It's time to focus on my art?
Yes, it was super scary. And I'm one of those people that tends to act with a lot of caution with every decision that I make. And it just felt like a gut feeling, like there was a sign almost that the time had come that I could go ahead and go down to PRN, which is basically an as needed status at the hospital. So I'm now working about 2 days a month. But to be honest, the scariest thing was going and talking to my boss. I was really nervous. Like, I didn't want to let him down. So I went into his office and I sat down and I said, "You're about to hear the craziest thing you've ever heard from one of your employees." And he was like, "I don't know, I've heard a lot of crazy things." And I was like, "Get ready." So I explained it to him. And I think a lot of what transpired really hit me whenever I was in his office, telling him that I was having to go down to part-time. And I started just bawling my eyes out, and he started crying. He gave me a big hug, which was just the sweetest thing in the world. But I've gotten a lot of support from my coworkers and my family and my friends and everybody. So everything just felt like it fell into place. It was the right time. It was the right move. And I'm glad that, I went about everything the way that I did. It was truly all just an incredible blessing.
So cool. One of the things I want to ask you about, maybe a tougher question, but because I'm a massive fan of Gary Vaynerchuk as well. And one of the interesting things is when you follow his content and everything like that, you've kind of got two different, it's almost like a fork in the road of two different perspectives. So on the one side, he's putting out a lot of content like trash talk and basically encouraging people, showing them that there is a way where you can take what you have in your house, sell it, flip it, get to a point where you can actually start investing in that kind of thing, which is hugely inspirational content for a lot of people. And then on the other side, with a project like VeeFriends, he said time and time again, this project's not for flippers. This is for people who want to hold, and I'm going to create the long-term value. So the question for you, considering Gary has, purchased your artwork, retweeted, and a lot of his audience has taken notice, Is that a good or a bad thing for your community? And I'm sure it's a net good thing having that massive, but if you know what I mean, like in the sense of if there's a lot of people coming over with the mentality of flipping, as an example, do you see any challenge there or any downside, or is it just kind of all positive that they're there and seeing your art?
Well, I think initially it could be kind of conceived as a negative because, we're really here for the art, for the charity, for the providing others with a platform. But, at this point, we've reached 5,000 unique holders. So what that's telling me is that there are a lot of people who are here because they genuinely enjoy the artwork and they enjoy the space, the community, the platform, the charity, and everything. And even though it is, it's kind of a crazy thing watching people flip them and everything, we're here to really, provide art, provide to charity. We're trying to help, make positive impacts in the world and provide these platforms to young artists. So it's kind of one of those things that like it can be a negative and it can be a positive both. But one way or another, it's one of those things that I truly can't control. So I'm grateful to everybody who's been here, one way or another. But I anticipate that we're going to start having fewer and fewer flippers and having more and more holders as time goes on.
And this is a totally personal question in regards to your involvement investing or holding NFTs. But do you flip NFTs?
Very, very rarely. I am primarily a holder. I tend to buy pieces that speak to me, that I find just, that I'm truly passionate about. So very, very infrequently have I sold any of my NFTs. The vast majority of them I've purchased and I've held on to. Like all of my patron wallet artists, we really don't intend to flip those at all. We want to keep those and we want to display them and, give them eyes and everything. Now, let's say somebody does make a huge offer on one of those pieces. We might sell it, but we definitely want to give that profit to charity as much as possible. So, it's been amazing. I love holding on to the artwork. I think it's beautiful. I enjoy it. I hope to print all of them someday and, frame them in my house. They're all incredible. So I'm definitely a hodler.
Love it. And speaking of that Patreon wallet, what's that experience been like? I mean, now that you maybe have a little bit more time to focus on your own art, but also that part of your roadmap where it is supporting other artists, what has that experience been like looking for new artists in the space? And what has their reaction been when you actually purchase one of their pieces?
It's kind of surprisingly difficult to search through the space and find artists, especially new and upcoming artists. Like it's shockingly difficult. So I spend a lot of my day searching for artists, searching for artwork that really speaks to me. And you know what? I think that's something that maybe needs to change a little bit. It needs to be a little bit easier to be finding some of these newer artists. But when we do purchase, we've been met with nothing but kindness and grateful words from a lot of these artists. The vast majority of the folks that we've purchased from, we purchased from them and then we tweeted out, and the vast majority of them, their collections have sold out pretty much immediately after tweeting. And I think it's great because it does help give them that like kind of financial boost to help, push forward their career as being an NFT artist or being an artist or whatever it might be. So far it's been an absolutely incredible thing. And, I love all of my patron wallet artists. They're absolutely incredible people. Actually, I know, this is going to air a little bit later, but tomorrow on December 7th, we're going to be interviewing one of our patron wallet artists. So I'm really excited for people to get to know her.
Ulf, do you realize our audience has been either watching or listening to this episode for 20 minutes?
20 minutes? No, they should probably subscribe.
Yeah, they should subscribe. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you comment and turn on notifications. And if you're listening to this podcast, especially if you're on Apple Podcasts, leave us a rating and a review.
We're also on Twitter, Instagram, and even TikTok. So go check out the episode description. You can find all that information below. And we have an update on the NFT, don't we?
That's right. We didn't previously mention this, but this NFT for our OG supporter is a one of one. There will only be one of this kind ever minted, and we have a few surprises for the person who purchases it. The link is in the episode description.
And back to the episode. So Sarah, you mentioned a couple of times community, and I'm curious in regards to women and weapons, what are you doing to sort of foster a community there?
So I know community is somewhat of a polarizing word, I feel like sometimes, right? But right now it seems like the right word to use. But our space, our Discord, our community, everybody that we've been involved with in regards to women and weapons, really, I think just fostering positivity and kindness. Anytime somebody's in our Discord, I try to, answer them back as much as I can. I engage with our Discord up to 2 times a day generally, because I want to have that individual connection with our holders and with the people who are in our community. I try to keep it a space of positivity and kindness, and let everybody know that you guys have a friend here. Like, there's a lot of people here that are similar minded and want to help, and they want to provide their assistance. And so reach out to everybody who's in this space, reach out to them as your friend. And I think because of that, our space has stayed really positive and really kind and really genuine. So I think, you kind of, your vibe attracts your tribe. And so no matter what I'm doing, I try to lead with a positive and kind foot. And I think that we've really seen that with our community, with our Discord, with our Twitter, and so on. It's been very much reciprocated.
And then in terms of the charitable aspect, so I mentioned it off the top, but the Malala Fund Charity, why was that an important one for you to support?
Absolutely. So the Malala Fund, I don't know if y'all have had a chance to look into it yet. So it's run by Malala herself. And it's an incredible cause because it helps give back to women's education around the world, specifically in underserved areas in various countries around the world. And to me, an education can mean a lot to a woman, especially in a lot of these locations. Getting that education can provide women with a lot of independence and a lot of capability to really, get things off the ground, get their ideas off the ground. And so the fact that her fund is providing to that and helping educate those women means the absolute world to me, because like I've said, education is 100% a woman's weapon. Go get that education, whether it be a formal education, whether it be reading or getting involved in something and learning about it. We can get educated in so many different ways, and that truly can provide us with so many different strengths.
Mm-hmm. It seems like a great fit for sure. Switching gears, we've mentioned a few times you were at Art Basel. You got to meet some of your more prominent, noteworthy NFT holders. What was the whole experience like at Art Basel? For 2 guys who had never been there and maybe a lot of the audience, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. So I actually got there a little bit late. I got there after a lot of the conferences occurred, but we were still able to attend a lot of the satellite events and get to meet a lot of the WoW community, which was amazing. So, we got to go to a Coinbase event, which was incredible. That's where we met Gary. We got to see Lisa from Boss Beauties. I hung out with Crypto Mom, which I don't know if you know, but she was part of our launch team. So I got to meet a lot of incredible people, including, Randy Zuckerberg. We got to meet Yam from World of Women. So it was really nice to finally get to meet these people in real life. And it was funny, even at the World of Women party, we met like a large group of people. Some of them were wall holders and some of them weren't. And we had the best time with each other. After the party, we were like, okay, we can't be done yet. We still got to keep going and hanging out. We ended up going to a pizza shop down the road, and I think we hung out to like 1 a.m. or so. But it's amazing how like-minded this community is. I mean, everybody seems to be kind of coming from a good place in their heart, and you can feel it. So we met all sorts of people. Amber Vittoria, I don't know if y'all have heard of her. She's the most unbelievable artist of all time, and her and I just immediately clicked. I got to meet with Tao. She's Tao NFT. She's actually one of our Patreon wallet artists. So, I mean, meeting tons of people. We went to Art Basel proper too, got to see all the incredible artwork. There was a Banksy there, which was amazing to see in real life. And I fell in love with a new artist. His name is Kehinde Wiley. I saw his artwork at Art Basel. So y'all definitely need to go next year for sure. It's an incredible experience. You will meet so many amazing individuals and see so much incredible artwork. It is a must go.
And was the Art Basel, as far as I understand it, keep in mind I don't know a lot about this conference, but as far as I understand, it's not purely crypto. It's a art expo. So, how much did you find was crypto related in the end, with NFTs being as popular as they are and a lot of crypto folk who are in the NFT space attending?
So I actually missed a lot of the crypto related conferences. So there was NFT BZL. There was, what was it, Art Basel NFT or something of that sort. And I actually missed a lot of those because I came in late. I came in like Wednesday evening. So I only actually was able to attend Art Basel proper, which was primarily just the physical artwork. But the vast majority of people who were there that week were there for a lot of the NFT related events. So it was a pretty big draw in of NFT folks from all around the world. I mean, we had people from the UK, we had people from France, we had people from Greece, we had people from Canada, all over everywhere that came and were partaking in all these NFT events. We got to meet the crew behind the doodles. They're cool. Unbelievable, nicest guys in the whole entire world. So yeah, it was amazing. I love that we're having all of these conferences where, being such a global thing that NFTs and crypto are, we all get to attend at one location and get to meet each other in real life. It's really, really awesome and really amazing to get to do. And you really feel the connection pretty much instantaneously.
It's funny for us in the space, or who keep an eye on the space, NFTs, like Ulf said there, like you said, are massive, right? They're everywhere. However, the truth is, most people, like if you were to ask somebody random in public, the chances that they know what an NFT is probably less likely than knowing. So I'm interested, you made this major shift and you're focusing on your art and on NFTs. What is the conversation like with family and friends? And I know you said you've been a little bit involved in crypto since 2018, but now you're very involved in it. What are those conversations like? Do they get it?
It's kind of hard. Like whenever all this started out and I was talking to my coworkers in the hospital about it, I would say the vast majority of folks were kind of like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But a lot of people, like some of my best friends at the hospital, they've actually started like watching YouTube videos and listening into Twitter spaces and so on to try and understand it better. So I would say it's kind of like 50-50. Like you've got like 50% of like family and friends and coworkers that are kind of like, I'll hear about it when it's on the news. And then the other 50% who are like, oh, that's really intriguing. I'm going to go look that up on YouTube tonight and see if I can learn a little bit more about it. Which is really awesome. Actually, my father-in-law has gotten really into it now, as well as one of my brother-in-laws.
Nice.
And I was listening into a Twitter Spaces with Randy Zuckerberg this morning, and my mom was listening in with me, and she was really intrigued also. So I'm like, yay, spread the word. Let's spread the news. Let's start talking about this. So I think people are starting to catch up. It's starting to get around a little bit, but you're right. I mean, like 90% of people that you mention it to, they're like, no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea.
Well, and the funny part of that is Wade and I have talked, and even with some of our guests, about how the NFT space, I mean, it's certainly been like so much hype around it this year, to the point where there's been many conversations around, are we in an NFT bubble? Is the NFT space in this big bubble and it's going to burst and everything's going to collapse? And I think that naturally, there's always cycles, there's always ups and downs. But it's funny when you bring in the conversation around, well, how many people aren't even familiar with NFTs and don't know what it is when you look at just like the whole globe. And so even if we are in some, big bubble and hype cycle, that's not to say the bubble can't still get bigger. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
I think the bubble's definitely going to get bigger. I mean, I think that we're just at the beginning, just like people who are just at the beginning whenever the internet became the internet. I think, there's a very few, based off of the population, there's a very small percentage that are knowing about and understanding NFTs right now. But I think that's really going to increase, and I think it's going to increase pretty quickly. And I anticipate that NFTs and crypto and everything, it's going to be really, really big in the upcoming years. And I think especially after Coinbase launches, I think that's going to be absolutely huge for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
In terms of the future for women in weapons, I thought I heard, maybe I'm mistaken, I thought I heard you say on another interview perhaps that you are planning another release, like a series 2 or something along those lines. So I guess just clear that out for me. Is that the case? And yeah, what does the future hold for your project? Like, where can things go from here?
So we haven't released any details about any of that yet. So we'll have to stay tuned on that one.
That's just a rumor for now.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a rumor for now. But we definitely have a lot coming for sure with Women in Weapons. Really hoping to start doing some in-person galleries, definitely attending more conferences. We have a lot of things in the works right now that a lot of it we're still working on how to announce, but definitely wanting to start getting some more in-person events going for sure.
And then I just want to circle back to that concept you had talked about before. So I think it was Good Humans, the Twitter Spaces.
Yeah.
So what's the plan for that? Is it just is it going to be weekly? Is it always going to be Twitter Spaces, the format? How's that going to work?
So the intention is for it to be weekly. Because we were coming back from Art Basel, we're having it tomorrow. We're hoping to probably do it on Mondays, but we'll see. But we're thinking to bounce back and forth between Twitter Spaces and Discord stages. So really my intention is to start interviewing some people who are good humans, whether they be some of the artists from our patron wallet or just incredible people we've come across who are doing really awesome things in the space, that I'd love to give a platform to and be able to explain what they're doing. So yes, the intention is for that to be weekly. I'm really excited about it. First one is tomorrow night, which I know once this airs, it'll be a week late, but I'm definitely hoping people will stay tuned for those and get to hear from a lot of these amazing and good humans that we've found to talk to.
Awesome. So good. Well, Sara, this has been an awesome conversation. We like to end every episode of Show Me the Crypto with the same 3 questions we ask every single guest. It's a segment we call You Had Me at Crypto, and Ulf's going to ask you those questions.
All right, I'm ready for it all.
You're ready. I didn't even have to ask. All right. Awesome. First question. Who is your favorite person to follow in the crypto space?
Well, obviously Gary. I love him. He's amazing.
If you didn't say Gary, he'd be like, "What? You gotta say." No.
I know. He'd be like, "What?" I want to say the other person is probably Amber Vittoria. I am so impressed by her. She is such a boss lady. She's incredibly inspiring to me. And she reached out a few months ago to me, and we've been chit-chatting here and there, but I'm just constantly in awe of her. So she's definitely one that I like to stay tuned with.
Nice. All right. Second question. What will the price of Bitcoin be 10 years from now?
Ooh, this is a good question. 12K.
12K. Okay.
Interesting.
No. I'm sorry, not 12K. 112K. My bad.
Okay,
Sorry.
There we go.
I was thinking.
I'm like,
whoa.
you really don't believe in this.
thinking ETH for some reason. That was my fault. I apologize.
Okay. No, all good.
Hey,
all
I
good.
could go for a 12K ETH though. I like that.
Yeah.
There we go.
112K Bitcoin.
Okay, cool.
Love
Cool. All right. Third question. What is the most underrated coin or project in all of crypto?
Underrated. I want to say Women Rise. Either Women Rise or the Pangeans. I think those are 2 really, really awesome projects that definitely need more eyes on them. I love what both of them are doing. So those are 2 that I want to throw out there.
What exactly, do you mind just kind of explaining what they are?
Yeah, so Women Rise is led by Maliha. She's actually been an artist for a good while now. She's also an activist. And so she's created this project where she's basically displaying all these women in various incredible roles, whether they be lawyers, engineers, scientists, astronauts, you name it. She has an incredible project, and the Pangeans also have an amazing project. Theirs, I believe, is coming out in 3 separate releases, and it's somewhat of a story, essentially. And so their artists and their entire team are all ladies. Their dev was a girl. Their artist is a girl. Their community manager and marketer, she's also a girl. And they've been a total boss lady team, and I love what they're doing. They're giving back to their community as well. So both teams are great. The people themselves are wonderful humans, and I really love their art too.
Right on, right
Nice.
on. Love it. Well, thank you so much, Sara. We're stoked on all of your success that you've had so far. We know you're going to have a ton of success in the future. So thanks so much for joining Ulf and I on this episode of Show Me the Crypto.
Thank you guys so much. I really enjoyed getting to chat with you. I so look forward to seeing this.
Thank you for listening to Show Me the Crypto. Please make sure to subscribe as well as rate and review this podcast.